Hi, everybody. I hope you are all doing very well. The topic today, or for this video, is more Jada Pinkett Smith and the games people play, right? So, those of you that saw first of all, hello, everybody. How are you all? I'm not going to do a That's the first time Barry behind bars has wanted to comment. Interesting. I think Barry is saying, Will Smith, don't take her SHIT anymore. Stand up for yourself. Be a man. Draw some healthy boundaries, Will. Okay. Thank you, Barry behind bars. We appreciate that so much. All right, everybody. If you can hear me, can you put a one? And then I'll know that everything is going well with my microphone. And today is April the 8th, 2022. Okay. I see Diamond Paw, Teresa. Welcome, Teresa. Hey, Thing One. Pineapple Princess. Welcome. So good to see you. Hey, Gigi. And of course, Bebop is the winner today. She was here like 3 hours before we went live. So she is awesome. Thank you, Bebop. Hi, CNY family. Welcome. Jada is not a good person, and neither is William Smith. Well, we're going to get into whether we want to know him as King Richard or the Fresh Prince. There's no doubt that we're losing a lot of our royalty this year, aren't we? Andrew Windsor. He has had a magnificent fall from grace, including that now Will and Catherine have to move into the palace with the queen because apparently Andrew is manipulating her, and they don't like that. They want Andrew away from the queen. So it's so much of our royalty is in trouble. It might say something about being put up on a pedestal when you're really just human, right? So I've been very interested in this debacle that happened with Will Smith because it's such a dramatic change from a guy whose career has been so intricately managed and carefully planned, and he's been very careful about the image that he puts out into the world and what he puts on social media. He's sort of been groomed for this Hollywood machine, right? And then this creature, Jada Pinkett Smith, she came on the scene with all of the rappers like Tupac and Biggie and Snoop Doggy Doo, and Will had sort of a fleeting brush with the group. He felt terribly jealous of Tupac in the early days. Even Chris Rock had some fleeting interactions, I guess, with this really real true criminal element. I mean, this deal that went down with Tupac and Biggie and even Snoop Dogg, they were real criminals. Like it wasn't being put on for the show. They were the real deal. And in the end, of course, people believe that, well, in the end, let me just put it this way. Tupac was, somebody popped a cap in his Maximus glutamus, and then Biggie had his problems, and it just all went to hell in a handbasket, like criminal operations generally do. And believe it or not, Jada Pinkett was Tupac's babe. That Jada Pinkett was Tupac's, cover your ears or grab your smelling salts. Jada Pinkett was Tupac's. I can't even bring myself to say it. I was going to say it to be funny, but I just can't. It's just too awful, right? Okay. So, yes, Tupac and Jada were a thing, and she was bad girl, and she ran with a bunch of bad boys, not Biden, not corn pop, but, Tupac. So I know I'm making jokes this, and I know it irritates a lot of people when I take these serious subjects and I talk about them and I make light of certain elements, but it does help to put things in perspective. We can't always get washed away in emotion. That's part of what's wrong with what's happening to everybody in our culture, is that we've taken emotion and we've put it front and center, and we've taken our rational, logical thought and we've set it on the back burner, and that is wrong. Yes, you heard it from me. Okay? It's wrong. That you are not to be a victim of your emotions, Jada. You're not to be a victim of your emotions. Your emotions are what we consider base cognition. They exist there as a part of your animal survival system, right? Your emotions move you to action, regardless of what's happening at the time. It moves you to some sort of action that is instinctively survivalist in nature. Without emotions, we do things like walk up to a Bengal tiger to investigate why it has stripes, and then we don't live very long. Okay, so it's a good thing to be able to manage your emotions. It's a good thing not to be swept away in emotion. So we have entered a time in our lives where people embrace emotion to the point that it overrides everything they do, and the result is a mess. Like being at the Oscars and you're a sure win for the lead male performer of the year, and you get up and slap the presenter on stage. That is a guy who is swept away in emotion. And so when I saw that, I thought, okay, Will, the whole world's pissed off at you. Everybody's mad at poor old Will, right? But there's clearly something else happening. There's clearly something else bubbling beneath the surface. He didn't slap Chris Rock. Chris Rock didn't do anything. That stupid little joke about the G.I. Jane, just out of curiosity, if you have heard that joke before, but before this incident between Chris Rock and Will Smith, if you have heard another comedian or another person make a joke about G.I. Jane and baldness, put a 1. Just look and see how many people have heard that particular joke. Oh, yeah, you were great in G.I. Jane. It's commonplace. It's been being talked about for 20 years because it was unusual to see a woman with a shaved head who was all buff, and she looked damn good. I got to tell you, she's looking really good. So it's a common, small, almost childish type of a joke. Hey, Rochelle, thank you so much for the super sticker. You are a sweetheart. Thank you. So it was a silly, foolish. Sorry, I got a text. I got distracted. I'm sorry about that. This is not my day job. Okay, my day job as a clinical psychologist. So sorry about that. Okay, so it's a common, small, childish joke. It wasn't ruthless. And here's another parallel, right? Chris Rock is the best of the best when it comes up to stand-up comedy, and he's not gross and filthy like Eddie Murphy was. I mean, he's funny, but woo, right? It's bad. Chris Rock isn't like that. I mean, you can take your kids, not little kids, but you could go with your teenagers or your young adult kids and not be embarrassed. He's a funny guy, and he's not really all that obscene. So the joke wasn't particularly alarming or disgusting, and it wasn't referencing one of Will's kids, which is typically when you see that fierce kind of reaction. And so I thought, there's obviously something more happening with this guy. This wasn't about a silly joke. In fact, if you look back at Jada Pinkett Smith's hairstyles throughout the year, she's quite traditionally had extremely short hair. So this was definitely something else that was going on. It wasn't a joke. I feel that with certainty. But what I did think is, did she ask him? Like, did she give him a message, or did she say something to him that would prompt him to go up and avenge her? Should I use the word honor when she has none? Arguably so. Well, there is some video where you can't hear anything. Somebody was recording. It was after the Oscars. They were getting photographs made, right? And somebody was recording on their phone, and Jada is talking to, I think, her son, maybe her son or Willow, either the daughter or the son. I don't remember which. And in that, she clearly says, I told him to do it. And she does look irritated. She does have an angry look on her face. She's talking to one of her kids, and she said, and Will is getting his photograph made. And she says to her child, whose back is to the camera, she says, I told him to do it. Some people are saying that is her admitting that she told Will to hit Chris Rock. But we don't know that that's what they were talking about. There's really no way of knowing if that is true. And if you put that up on your channel and you say, oh, look, Jada Pinkett Smith is admitting that she told Will to go hit Chris Rock. Well, you've now probably opened yourself up to some legal trouble. So I'm not going to show it, but I have watched it, and I made it, I zoomed in very close, and there's no doubt she says something remarkably similar to, I told him to do it. And then she's got this angry look on her face, and she turns her back on her child. So it was kind of like maybe she and her child were arguing, or the child was expressing concern about what Will had done. And that was the result. So I thought, okay, well, that's a very interesting exchange, right? And like I said, it does, you'll be able to, you'll definitely be able to find it if you want to watch it. Now then, I do want to show, hold on just a minute. Okay, so this that you're looking at on your screen, this is actually the advertisement that Jada had up in 2019 to have a therapist / author come on to their show. That's Jada and her mother, to come on to the show and have this discussion on infidelity. Okay, this was when all of the hullabaloo was taking place. Okay, so it is notable that her back, this is the author / therapist. I'm being very intentional with my words today. Okay, author / therapist. This is she. And her back is to the camera. And I looked for some thumbnails or some photographs with her with Jada Pinkett Smith, and there was one other. Let me see if I found this one. And you can see she's wearing the same beautiful jacket. That's absolutely gorgeous jacket. But this doesn't look like an official photograph, does it? This looks like something that someone put in Canva and made up for themselves. So I'm not sure that Jada Pinkett's Red Table Talk show, I'm not sure if she made this with Jada and the author and the mother. I'm not sure if she did it or if this was something that somebody did at some later time having this conversation. So it's very interesting that here we are 3-4 years later after the show that basically was the beginning of the end for old Will. Has she told Jada not to have her picture with the author? I'm going to think yes. Okay. When you're making your living on social media, then controlling the images that are out there and the words that are being said, controlling that becomes very important and critical to your income, right? So it seems so odd to me to see this. Now why is it so odd? And you say, well, I wouldn't want to be affiliated with Jada Pinkett Smith after everything that's happened. Okay, agreed. However, this is an author. She's primarily making her money now she's written two, I'm not going to call them well-known books, but she's written two kind of self-help type books, but I just cringe. She's written two books. She does a lot of guest appearances on social media, talk shows, podcasts, and whatnot. If you're affiliated with the $1 billion man, Mr. Will Smith, Men in Black, if you're affiliated with him in even the most remote manner, and you're making your living off of notoriety, that people recognize your name, or that the more people that see you and learn about you, then the more money you automatically make, right? So people watch her and then they go, oh, look, she wrote a book. I think I'll go try to find it and buy it. Correct? You're going to capitalize. You're going to capitalize on these public figures to sort of ride those coattails, not to be affiliated with them because they're awesome, but to be affiliated with them just because of the number of eyeballs that can bring to your product. Correct? So please explain to me why this woman, and I truly am in love with her jacket, truly. Explain to me why this woman seems to have been very busy erasing any pictures of both she and Jada Pinkett Smith together. So it is very interesting. I don't know what the story is, but there it is. So you may be asking yourself at this point, well, okay, but who the hell is she? I mean, they all kind of have the same color hair. Do y'all remember what I said about mirroring? Isn't it unusually interesting that Jada and her mother look remarkably alike? And then when you look at Willow now, Willow has made herself look very much like her mom. She's shaved her hair, which is common, like with people that have cancer and they're going to go through chemo or whatnot. But alopecia is not considered like a disabling disease, right? It's sort of like if you weigh 50 pounds too heavy or you lose your hair. It's sort of aesthetic in a way, but it can be devastating for women. I'm not belittling it at all. But I think it is interesting that the women in this family do seem to be creating cookie cutter images of one another. I think that is very interesting. And then I often wondered, Jada is a real advocate, for Black women and African American business and, that kind of thing. And it just was the hair color at the time. It's gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, but it just didn't seem, I was a little surprised by it. And then this came up and I thought, oh, Jada, were you really impressed with your therapist? And I don't know if that's what it was. I'm not going to say it was, but it's the kind of thing that sometimes you notice, right? Seems little, I don't know, little uncomfortable maybe. Okay. Now then, you could be saying at this point, you could be saying, yeah, but who is this person? So hold on just a minute and let me share. And I'm going to share the audio. Let's see. Here we go. Right here. Okay. All right, now here is her. Do I want to show that first, or do I want to do the clip? I think I want to do the clip. I'm going to do, yeah, I'm going to do this old clip that surfaced, and then we'll do, and that's on Newsweek. Okay. So we need to share now. Looking at this photograph, this is the clip we're about to watch. I want you to look at the look on his face. He's talking to Jada. She turns the camera on herself to make a disparaging remark about her famous husband. Does this guy look remotely happy or amused? Even like a teeny tiny little bit? Not really, right? So we're going to watch the clip, and then it will become clear what was the, there we go. What was the problem that had Will feeling so uncomfortable? Make sure y'all can see that. Yep, you can see that. All right, here we go. Let me make sure that the sound's up too. Oh, y'all don't hear that, do you? No. Why are you not hearing that? That's weird that you can't hear that. Let me see if it's on this channel that yeah, it's on my Reddit. Okay. Here we go. Okay, I got it. Sorry, y'all. We're gonna watch it on a different site. Hold on. Stop sharing. Okay, and then I'm gonna share on Reddit. This is an old clip that has surfaced. I believe it's from 2019. Okay, here we go.
You know, Esther Perel is coming to the table. She's going to be at the red table. Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
Esther, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
No, because she don't just.
Would you say that she helped us heal the hurts that we caused between one another?
My social media presence is my bread and butter, okay? So you can't just use me for social media and not, don't just start roll. I'm standing in my house. Don't just start rolling.
Please watch Esther.
Okay. All right. So, that is very uncomfortable. Would you guys agree? Let me check over here in the chat. Let's talk about it for a second. So, is that uncomfortable to watch? Grr. Skitty Nona said exactly what I was feeling. Kathy R, invasion of privacy, the penultimate invasion of privacy, really. Litlo says, what on earth? She is nuts. Wow. Very, very uncomfortable. Absolutely. Oh, wow. Yes. Very uncomfortable to watch. You and remember, this guy, this was from 2019. And 2022 is when he goes up on the stage and pops Chris Rock in the head. This is he has been living in a very, very difficult situation, right? So his last YouTube was bizarre about him crying all the time. I don't think I saw that, Cinnamon. See if you can find the link to that, Cinnamon, and we'll play it. I don't think I saw that. Okay, so then this clip comes out yesterday. And I just, again, I just thought, oh my God, Will, oh my God, run for your life. Please save yourself. And for God's sake, save your kids from this insanity, right? So when I saw this clip, it really opened the door for some freedom in discussion. We're governed by, of course, we have a code of ethics professionally. There are legal guidelines that are laid out by whatever state that you're in as you are practicing. And there's a big there's a big sense of concern about people turning their cameras in their living rooms into therapy offices, recording people when they're their most vulnerable and that they are in a state of disarray, and then uploading that to the world like they're exhibit A, and then discussing them like they're not human beings, right? There are so many ethical violations. It just doesn't even, like, you can't even get there. So even for people like Jordan Peterson, for a while he was doing some stuff, but he used actors. He had actors that acted out roles. And Dr. Ramani never, ever, ever brings a patient on her show, ever. It's all when the psychologist or the therapist, hopefully, when the psychologist therapist get on social media and they talk about what they know in the application or the result of some of these life events, behaviors, there is this big blinking sign that says throughout the whole thing, don't violate privacy. Anonymity and confidentiality is everything in the mental health field. It's everything, right? It's legally required that the therapist allow that person who is seeking guidance, allows them, and even takes extraordinary steps to ensure their privacy. That is one of the reasons why on my channel, I've had a few incidences occur early on. People would begin to talk about their challenges that they'd had in their lives, things that they had engaged in or done that weren't healthy and that kind of thing. And my immediate reaction is I have to move away from that topic. And I've gotten emails for people saying, oh, you're so cold and you're so heartless. How could you not talk to X, Y, and Z about this problem? Or this person is really struggling and crying. Could you please go over and support them and help them? Well, legally, I cannot do that. I have restrictions on those types of actions. And here's the reason why. Because we have to take extraordinary steps to protect your anonymity if we're going to enter into one of these types of situations with you. So no, I'm not going to talk about the abuse you suffered in childhood while there's 100 people in the room. Absolutely not. In most cases, I can't even acknowledge it. And so, I've chosen to change the subject, gently move away from it for your safety and privacy, as well as for my own, right? So this is just generally known. I mean, that you even have people that, even if they're making training videos on how to do therapy, the person that they're showing where the therapist is doing therapy, the person they're talking to is not a real patient. That's an actor that has been given a script, who's been told you're having these symptoms, this is how you're feeling, and then it's being acted out. It's not real. Those are not real patients. Okay. So I was actually quite shocked when I saw this, and I went in search of who this woman is that Pinkett is telling Will Smith, oh, she's going to be back at the red table. Isn't that great, Will? She's going to be back at the table, and hasn't she helped us, Will? Our relationship is doing so much better. What? Better? You have, within the last 6 months of when this video came out, she had revealed on social media to the whole world that she's screwing around with her child's 20-year-old friend who's suffering from addiction and living in her home. And the camera is on Will as he learns that his wife is unfaithful. So when I saw this, I thought, what the hell? Like, what is going on here? Now, I did my video where I was talking about the gaslighting that you can see on her Instagram, right? And I kind of broke that down, and I said, this is why it looks like gaslighting to me. And I talked about it. Then I saw this and I thought, okay, first of all, Will Smith is in protection mode in this video. Second of all, Jada is pushing his buttons. Would y'all agree? Is that what it look? Does that seem accurate to say that she's pushing his buttons? She's using this to try to get a reaction out of him. Do y'all agree? Now, we're going to go back through. I'm going to watch it again. And this time I'm going to stop it at certain places to talk about his reaction and that kind of thing. So initially, he looks a little bit scared, right? I mean, as wherever the editing was done, whatever was said before the recording that we received here, we don't really know what was being said. But he does look worried. Or at least that I think he looks worried. Okay, so let's watch. Okay, so he knows something's going on, and we don't know if she grabbed the camera and started recording in that minute, and now he's like, oh hell, here we go again. Oh my God, what's about to happen? We're not really sure, but I think it is a certainty that his manager has pulled him aside after this foolish red table bullshit of, oh yeah, and I'm screwing, Jaden's friend. I think his publicist and his business people have pulled him aside and said, Will, you can't do this. We have spent a lifetime grooming your image. The world thinks that you're this charming kid from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air who's grown into these magnificent, epic roles in the big blockbuster, Hollywood. You're at the top of the star right now, Will. Don't go blowing all the hard work we've done for the past 30 years. Please stick to the script, Will. You are not to be recorded doing anything at your house unless you've got a publicist by your side. No recordings. Do you understand? I believe they had that talk with him. That's my belief. Okay, my opinion. All right, now let's watch and see if Jada is dealing with her problem husband, because that's what she says here. Let's actually listen to the way that Will Smith handles this.
Esther Perel is coming to the table. She's going to be at the red table. Would you say she has been instrumental?
Okay, now he's going, oh, hell. Oh, hell. Okay. Now they warned me about this. Let's see. Okay, what am I going to say? How am I going to handle this? Because I don't want to look bad on the camera. How am I going to manage?
Instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship.
So her question is, what's your reaction knowing that our beloved therapist is coming back to the red table, Will, and she's the one that's helped our relationship so much? What's your opinion, Will? And he's thinking, oh shit, has she had an affair with someone else? Am I about to find out that she had an affair with my best friend?
Say, don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
Esther, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Woo! Okay, people. So I thought that Will's reaction, was incredibly mature. What's your opinion? If you think it was a mature reaction, put a 1. I know, Callie, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Yeah, so Will is just like, okay, it's like, I don't hear your question, Jada, because it's a dumbass question. I'm not going to respond to something so foolish, but I am going to be factual, and I'm going to be logical, and I'm going to be rational, and I'm not going to destroy any more of my pride or my self-image. And I am going to do exactly what my publicist and my manager and my business team told me to do. And that is make a polite request. Correct? Just a non-judgmental, non-threatening, non-accusatory statement of, I would like to know, before you start filming, I need to know this.
I would say, don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
Esther, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Okay, so Jada believes that she's still dealing with foolishness. So Will says, okay, she says, well, what do you think? The therapist is coming back that, got me all messed up and made me, say that it was, perfectly okay for me to screw around. But because you're hurt that I'm screwing around, you have screw loose. But she's coming back, Will, isn't that great? See if we can tear you down some more, big guy, right? And Will doesn't get triggered. He doesn't do anything. He says, I would say, please don't record me without asking me first. I have a question for you. Does that sound rational? It's so rational. It's so rational. It's so rational. It's so mature. It's so normal. Can everybody say the word normal? Will, you reacted in a normal way. What is not normal is Jada Pinkett Smith saying, oh, I can't figure out how she's pronouncing the name Esther. But she says, Esther, I'm still dealing with this foolishness. Please come help. Please. Can we please do, can you please come help me and do something about that foolishness? Right? Okay. I think she's the one being incredibly foolish and manipulative. And I think his response was one that was wonderful. Right? Okay. Hold on just a minute. Okay, now let's finish this.
Because she don't just.
Would you say?
Okay, now he says, no, don't, she, no. And then he caught himself, didn't he? He said, oh, don't say anything, Will. Keep your mouth shut, just like you've been told to do. Okay, but I'm talking about by the business team. But what was he going to say about her? He said, no, she. Listen again.
dealing with foolishness.
No, because she don't just.
What do you think? What do you think he was wanting to say? He thought better of it, didn't he? He pulled back. He said, no, I'm gonna do what my publicist told me to do. Don't give in. Don't let her get away with this game. It is abuse. It's horrible. I would be so angry if my spouse talked about me like that on a live stream and I'm a nobody. You're not a nobody, lit low. Don't say that. You're every bit as wonderful as Will Smith. He just has a camera in his face all the time. Those people in Hollywood, they're just like we are. It's all an illusion. What they create is illusion. Yeah, don't take the bait. Thank you, thing one. Absolutely. But he did. So he did catch himself, didn't he? He almost took the bait. He wanted to say, don't go bringing that woman back in my house. I think that's what he wanted to say. And there's a reason I think that's what he wanted to say. So let's go ahead and listen. And this time I'm not going to stop the video. Oh, where's my mark? There it is right there. Okay. I'm not gonna interrupt. Let's see what he was gonna say.
Because she don't just.
Would you say that she helped us heal the hurts that we caused between one another?
My social media presence is my bread and butter. Okay. So you can't just use me for social media and not, don't just start roll. I'm standing in my house.
That's what he was gonna say. When he did the she kind of stuttering and just about took the bait. I believe he was going to say, don't bring her here. She is not coming back. This is my house. I'm a man. She has no right to come in and destroy my marriage and my family with her nonsense. She's coming in here. She is using me and you to further her own career goals. And I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have it. That's what I think was really behind it. And there's a few things here that make me think that.
Don't just.
Would you say that she helped us heal the hurts that we caused between one another?
My social media presence is my bread and butter. Okay. So you can't.
There's a little flash of anger. I keep missing it. Hold on.
Because she don't just.
Would you say?
Okay, right there. He remembers the meeting where they said, Will, shut up.
That she helped us heal the hurts that we caused between one another.
My social media.
Watch right before we get to this part where he puts his hand up on his chest. Watch how fast his chest, how shallow and fast he's breathing. As Pinkett Smith is saying, what's your opinion about her being here? Watch how fast he starts breathing right before he puts his hand up on his chest. And he's saying, hold on, get it together, don't talk. He's coaching himself. That hand on his chest is a visible, holy shit, I better be quiet. I better stop right now, just like they told me to stop.
Would you say that she helped us heal the
See how he's
hurts that
breathing?
we caused between one another?
My social media.
There he goes. And when he turns his head back up from looking down, he almost looks like he's getting in a position to body slam her, or body slam anybody, not just her, but anybody. The way he rolls his head and his neck. Hold on, let me see if I can get to it.
You say that.
I don't think this will let me slow it down. No, it doesn't let me slow it down.
She helped us heal.
Watch him roll.
That we caused between one another.
My social media presence is my bread and butter. Okay. So you can't just use me for social media
mad.
And not, don't just start roll. I'm standing in my.
He was mad at her and he had a right to be. I would have been furious.
Don't just start rolling.
Please watch us stare.
She cannot believe that he stood up to her. She thinks that him stating his boundaries in a polite and healthy way, she takes that as a problem for her. Why? Well, because she wants what she wants. She wants to be able to tell people what to do and then do it. That's what she wants. And his career was badly damaged by her little red table talk where she admitted to all this infidelity.
At the red table, because she's helped us a lot. Can't you tell?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yep.
You know, Esther Perel is coming to the table. She's going to be at the red table. Would you say?
Oh, man. Right there in that moment, he looks furious. I wish I could stop the camera right there. Whew, he's angry. Look at his eyes. Okay. I think she calls the lady stare. I think she pronounces it stare. Now, to be fair, the person that they're talking about is a lady named, I'm going to say it the American way because I'm in hashtag America. Her name is Esther Perel. She's calling her stare, and maybe that's because she is Belgian, right? Born 1958. She's a psychotherapist, she's Polish Jewish descent. And come on, this is like, she grew up in a period of time where the things were not going very well in Europe. But she is focused on the issues related to marriage, most specifically the traditional need for security and foundation and dependability, and the need for the never-ending childhood, i.e., continuing to have freedom. And it's not just freedom like to pursue a career. No. Freedom for erotic desire, adventure, getting distance from the people you love. I know it's a little bit hard to understand. So it is said that she is a quote unquote psychotherapist. Perel is the daughter of two Holocaust survivors from Poland. She was raised in Antwerp, where everybody is, rich, but it was a bad time in Europe because of the Holocaust and the way things were ended with World War II. She attended the Hebrew University of Jerusalem in educational psychology and French literature. And so she is psychodynamic in orientation. And so I think she has combined her love of Freud and French literature and is now writing self-help books that scare me to death. Okay. All right. Her education, she's Jewish, and she attended Hebrew University of Jerusalem, where she received a bachelor's degree in educational psychology. And then she earned a master's degree in expressive art therapy at Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Okay. That's her education. I'm not making fun of it. I love education. In fact, my answer to every problem that I have in my life is, I know what I'll do. I'll get a degree. I know what I'll do. I'll go back to school. I love education. And I think that the more degrees you have, the safer you are. There'll always be a job, right? That's the way I look at it. Okay, so after looking at the book, she's written 2 books. One of them I read. And I thought, okay, this is different. Like this doesn't match Adlerian therapy. This doesn't match cognitive behavioral therapy. This doesn't match Rogerian therapy. This doesn't match acceptance. I had a hard time with it. Okay. So to be clear, because I want to keep my feet on the ground about what we're actually discussing. I think, like, for example, people talk about Jill Biden, right? And she's called Dr. Biden. There's nothing wrong with that. She has a doctorate in education. But traditionally, with an academic degree, you don't get called doctor everywhere you go. You're like, the term doctor is generally recognized when you are in a place of education or instruction, convention, something like that. More clinical degrees where people are providing direct patient care, those titles generally do carry over into the community because it provides awareness to people in the immediate environment that this person has some skills that are different than what everybody else has, that most people have. In other words, they could probably save your life, if something horrible happened. So there is kind of that distinction, but it doesn't bother me. It's not a big deal, but I did want to be very careful. Am I about to call this person to the table? Not the red table. Let's call it the very sparkly, very shiny table of jewels. Shall we do that? And I wanted to make sure I thought, am I about to call this person to the table to find out that, maybe she knows an awful lot that I don't know, which I'm going to tell you. So I've got, her work has been on this whole issue. It's shocking, really. She's done work on infidelity, and my research and my work related to this field of study is for mechanisms of change after trauma. And the trauma that we used so that we could have good measure was infidelity. That wasn't that I wanted to do a research on infidelity. I wanted to learn about how people change. How do they get better? What can I do as a clinical psychologist to create awareness, education, and conditions where this person will know what kind of factors they need to improve in their life that would be associated with healing, right? So that was my research thing. She's got a much different idea than me and a whole bunch of other people have. And so that's why I was very interested in her education. Being called the psychotherapist, I naturally thought she was a doctor of psychology. She is not a doctor of psychology. She has a bachelor's degree in ed psych, and then she has a master's degree in art. Okay. Now, she is married to a guy with some impressive credentials, but still it doesn't quite get to that point where maybe this is a safe environment for people that are really, really, really struggling. There's a lot of people out there that they're doing well. They just want to do better, and that's fine. But if you've got people that are in crisis, that there's some real possibility of things getting bad very quickly, you really need somebody who's well educated and understands the physical nature of what your body is experiencing, combined with the behavioral expression of what is happening internally. You need to know that. You need to know that if somebody's sitting in your office and they begin to stand on their head, is it because they're just maybe on some kind of drug? Are they in the middle of a psychotic breakdown? Or are they malingering? You need to understand a lot of factors, and it takes a lot of work to get, through education and then clinical experiences to get to the point to recognize some subtleties in behavior and how it plays out. So I once had a young person who had a medical crisis that was related to her liver function. And the first sign of this liver problem that was life-threatening was that she had a psychotic break right in my office. Like, as I sat there and watched her, it took her about 40 minutes to go from rational and logical to not having any idea where she was. And she felt like her body felt like it was about to explode. And we called the ambulance and they took her to the hospital, and she was having a medical crisis. And 3 days later, after they got the liver situation in order, she was perfectly normal again, sane as could be. So you got to be very careful when people are messing with your life. You know what I mean? The people that do that need to be, there's rules in place, and they're there for safety. There's rules in place, and that is to protect people and you from unusual situations. Follow the rules, right? Well, so I go and I look at this and I say, okay, well, she's got the bachelor's degree in educational psychology, and then she's got this art degree. And well, expressive art therapy is what it's called. And I thought, okay, well, that sounds like it might be a therapy degree, right? It sounds like it might be. And I don't have any idea if an expressive art therapist, I don't know if they're credentialed. I don't know if they have to take like a state test, if they have licensing hoops to jump through. But if they do, if she is licensed, then she absolutely has a code of ethics. And that code of ethics is going to say you can't do therapy in front of a camera with people watching, with the express intent of showing it on the internet to millions of people. You can't do that. You just can't do it. It's dangerous for the people that are involved. So this is very confusing to me, concerning. And I don't know if her face was disconnected from Jada Pinkett Smith by her and her business people, or if it was done by Jada Pinkett Smith or possibly Will Smith saying, no, we don't want to be connected to her. And that's why they've been busy kind of removing those pictures. I wonder, I don't know if that's the case, but I'm curious if that, which one did the severing, right? So, Perel is the host of a podcast. It's called Where Should We Begin? It's based inside of her therapist office as she sees anonymous couples in search of insight into topics like infidelity, sexlessness, and grief. So imagine there you are as a teacher, and your engineer husband is sitting next to you, and you're talking about your infidelities and broken hearts and, you know, money that got wasted, because it always happens when there's a discovery of infidelity. Money disappears for some reason. Then it gets shown on the internet, and for the next 30 years, people can find it. People like future employers, people like students, people like the parents of students, principals, school board members. They can all find that you found out about your husband's infidelity and you proceeded to break every single dish in your house. And it's all out there forever and ever. Do you see the problem with this kind of thing? To have a podcast where, and I love this, the anonymous couples. I totally love that. Do you really think the internet is anonymous at all? I just saw where they now have developed software that you can put a photograph in your software and it will track everywhere. It'll tell you when and where the photograph was taken. And then it'll tell you every place that photograph has shown up on the internet. You don't even have to know anybody's name anymore. You don't have to know their name, where they live. You don't have to know a damn thing about them. You just need to be able to take a picture of them. If you go to a concert and you take a picture of somebody at a concert and you come home and load it up into this software, you will know their name, where they live, and every single person that ever used that photograph or a picture of that guy on the internet. Imagine the implications. It's a nightmare, right? It's a nightmare. So I'm a bit confused. I don't like this thing talking to anonymous couples. Well, if you're showing their faces or you're having their voices on there, they're not anonymous. And there are, y'all have seen the show Don't F with Cats. That was amazing that these sleuths were able to track down that sicko, and the cops couldn't. The cops could not find the sicko, but a bunch of people like me and you, they found him. Not because he was murdering human beings, but because he was killing little kittens and videotaping them. So I don't know. I'm thinking this, she must not be licensed. I can't imagine a licensing authority allowing this type of show. I just can't imagine it. Therapists, psychologists stopped taping sessions a long time ago because it takes an act of Congress to get all the different approvals. There's got to be all this approval that has to happen in this line of who has the recording at any given time, and the date where it's going to be destroyed, and how it's going to be destroyed, and who's going to be the witnesses. I mean, it's you just can't do it anymore. People's privacy matters. I mean, you can't really tell it from other things going on, but it should matter. Let me just put it that way. Our privacy should matter. So this is problematic, right? I'm not judging her. I'm not saying she's a bad person, nothing like that. I'm saying I'm a bit disturbed that something so damaging as the discovery of infidelity, that it is being used to attract views, right? So I'm reading through this, and I'm learning about her. And she's got she is the one, she promoted the idea of erotic intelligence. You know how they talked about emotional intelligence, and she makes this contention in her book, Mating in Captivity. Okay, how many of you guys are married? Mating in Captivity. That's the name of one of her books. And basically, that was written in 2006, and she talks about erotic intelligence. And it has been translated into 24 languages. We don't have to keep the damage at home. We can export that damage. After publishing the book, she became an international advisor on sex and relationships. Really? She became an international advisor on sex and relationships. She has an art therapy degree. And then she has an ed psych degree. I don't understand this. She gave a TED Talk in February 2013 called The Secret to Desire in a Long-Term Relationship. And then in 2015, she did another TED Talk, Rethinking Infidelity, a talk for anyone who has ever loved. And guess what? The Rethinking Infidelity is about. Give you one guess. It's all about how people traditionally want love and acceptance, and we want to be a family unit, and we want to be close, and we want to feel like we belong with our family members. That's the security aspect. But people also want erotic adventure. They crave distance from the ones that they love. This is a disaster, I'm telling you. And then I was horrified. This is the part where I got horrified, and I had to gasp, and I had to grab my smelling salts, because in 2016, Oprah Winfrey added Perel to her 100 list of visionaries and influential leaders. Okay, Oprah. Well, let me just ask you a question, Oprah. How you feeling about how your friend Jada and Will are doing? How's that working out for them? The reason that her ideas on infidelity in marriage, the reason that it's not being, it's not setting a very good track record, is because she doesn't understand the physical nature of sex and what it does to people. The oxytocin that is released during sex. She doesn't understand that and how powerful of a drug that it is, and the influence that it has on people's dopamine levels, how that affects the female animal and the biological male animal. She doesn't understand all those things. She just came up with this stupid pie in the sky idea that, well, look, it's only infidelity because you've chosen to call it that. You don't call it infidelity. It's not cheating if you don't call it cheating. You just call it a vacation. You just say, hey, Will, Jada here, I love you and you're a great husband and we have such a wonderful non-interacting family. And I need a little bit of a sex vacation. So I'm going to go find me a 20-year-old to boff, until I feel better, Will. But remember what Stir says. Remember, she says, it's not infidelity, Will. It's love. It's love that we're giving to one another, Will. On a higher plane. And if you disagree with it, well, that's probably because you're just not smart enough to understand it. You're just not, you don't carry the mature wisdom, Will, to understand that it's only bad if we call it a bad word like infidelity. It's not really bad. We just got to give it a nice word and then everything will be okay. Okay. So this is what Will Smith is living in. He's living in this alternative reality of Jada's creation, apparently, with the help of Esther Perel, the extraordinary expressive art therapist. Okay. Now, Perel is married to Jack Saul, who is an assistant professor of the clinical population and family health. What? Let me try that again. Professor of population and family health, clinical population and family health. And this is at Columbia University. The children are named Adam and Noam. And I'm still having trouble figuring out, okay, what is a clinical population and family health? Does that mean, is that like a sociology degree? Population and family health. That's sort of like a combined, it's a sociology type of setting, I believe. Clinical population and family health. Must be sociology kind of stuff. Now then, how did Perel get to this place? Well, clearly you can see her husband had some influence. No doubt about that. The hubby, old Jackie boy, yeah, Mr. Saul, Dr. Saul. I'm saying doctor. I don't have any idea if he has a PhD or not, but Dr. Saul, I'm sure that he had some influence on explaining to Stir that it's not infidelity. It's normal to leave the marriage and need exciting, erotic adventures away from the wife or the husband. We are married for the family unit. We are married, Stir, for the family unit, the safe, security, the babysitting, the money. That's why we're together. But our erotic needs are unconnected to the family unit. Don't you understand that, Stir? I listen to the kind of music I like. You listen to the kind of music you like. I have the kind of sex I like. You have the kind of sex you like. Are you getting this, stir? Do you understand this concept, stir? After all, I'm an expert. I'm an expert, stir, in clinical population and family health. So what I'm telling you, you can believe it, stir. It's like stirring a damn pot, if you ask me. Never before have our expectations of marriage taken on such epic proportions. We still want everything the traditional family was meant to provide: security, children, property, and respectability. But now we also want our partner to love us. How dare! What a selfish thing that we want our partners to love us. That's so selfish. We want our partner to love us, to desire us, to be interested in us. We should be best friends, trusted confidants, and passionate lovers to boot. And I'm here to tell you that none of that is possible. It's very difficult to take. We want our chosen one to offer stability, safety, predictability, and dependability, all the anchoring experiences. And yet, we want someone, a person, to supply awe and mystery, erotic adventures, and risk. Perel calls for a more open and honest discussion of monogamy and how to reconcile the conflict between the domestic and the erotic. Well, now we know what's happened to Jada. Okay, right? Breathe in, breathe out. Thank you, Saul. We know what's happened to Jada. We know where this started. We know where this foolishness came from. Yeah, stir the pot. There you go. So this mess for Will, this is a mess. And when you, now that you've gotten an introduction into Jada's therapist, now you get a little bit clearer picture for Will.
You know, Esther Perel is coming to the table. She's going to be at the red table. Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
You're right, Will.
Again,
you're totally right, Will.
I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Jada, you have no idea what you're talking about, lady.
Don't just.
Would you say that she helped us heal the hurts that we caused between one another?
My social media presence is my bread and butter.
That's right, okay? Will.
So you can't just use me for social media.
That's
and
right.
Not, don't just start. I'm standing in my house.
Jada, it's called respect. It's called respect, respecting your family member. And it wasn't just your husband that was involved in this, but you got your 2 kids involved too. And now the pressure of the gaslighting and the manipulation, it seems like it's finally taken a toll. So Jim Carrey, he commented on this whole thing at the Oscars. He commented on it on Good Morning America with one of Oprah's friends, Gail. And he said, look, he didn't hit Chris Rock. He's hitting somebody else. Somebody else caused that. Chris Rock just happened to be convenient in the moment. And I agree with that. I think Will Smith lashed out at how the last 5 years has been a roller coaster and insane. He doesn't understand. What did he say in his acceptance speech? I'm being called on to love in a way that I've never heard before. He doesn't know what this strange idea is about, where you're supposed to be a family and you're supposed to be in a relationship, in a marriage, but your wife or your husband, they date, and it's not it's not infidelity. It's just like having a lunch date. It's just, simple. But his core, the thing that makes him a human being, it knows that it's wrong. He knows that he wants to put an end to the insanity that he doesn't get what he ain't picking up what she's throwing down, right? She has read these books. She has had this author on to have these really kind of philosophical types of discussions during a period of time when there were very real needs. This wasn't a philosophical discussion among professionals that work in this area. That she's having this therapist is having this philosophical conversation, a philosophy, I may add, that is not supported by the majority of clinical psychologists. She's having a philosophical conversation with a person who has betrayed her husband many times in many unconventional partners. And she has gaslighted her partner to kingdom come, and he doesn't understand any of this. And now she's going after his career. She's destroyed the marriage with him. I guarantee you he feels a great deal of hate. Well, I can't guarantee you, but I think, my opinion, he may hate her at this point because of the confusion that he's in. Now it looks like physically he's unhealthy because he can't manage. And then after the stunt that happened at the Oscars and this release that this young R&B singer put out a song less than 2 weeks after the Oscars, he puts out a song about his affair with Jada. And then it was like 24 hours later, Will Smith was checked into rehab. You don't think gaslighting is destructive? You've got things playing out on the big screen to show you what it does. Yeah, it is really, I don't even know if I could call it feminist calming the chaos. I have a hard time even calling it feminist because of the there are a group. I'm thinking about how I want to move forward with this. There are people that are a part of like this philosophy of polyamory, multiple spouse marriages, things like that. Even in that setting, there's a protected unit. Would you agree, calming the chaos? If you have, a man with 2 wives or a wife with 2 men, 2 husbands or whatever, they're still living as a family, right? So what benefits one by proxy ends up benefiting the others. So having a committed relationship that's polyamory, that's a bit different. That I still don't think it's the most healthy setting, but it's not my job to tell other people how to engineer their lives. What I am so disturbed by is not that Jada has some of these ideas about polyamory. Well, she's not even calling it polyamory. It's more like that she loves Will and she's committed to her family, but going and having sex with different people is a bit like meeting the girls for bunco on Thursday night, right? It's kind of demeaning and animalistic and kind of, well, the reason why that is a problem is because it opens the family up to an intruder, right? When men and women have sex with other people, their bodies release certain levels of chemicals that may not be released at any other time except during childbirth. And those chemicals then affect neurotransmitters. And then it's those neurotransmitters that drive us to do things like try to choke the man that's having sex with your wife. It's a survival old brain instinct to protect the family. So he finds this out with the cameras rolling, everybody watching. He's devastated. And his first instinct is, I have to get rid of this guy who is going to destroy my family. I have to protect the family. That's the natural old brain instinct. But because we're not ruled by our old brain anymore, except for Jada. Jada seems to be doing fine, letting her old brain do the talking. He controls it. And as he's trying, because he's obviously committed to her and he loves her. So he's trying to he's trying to step forward in a way that might save the family unit and save the marriage. And rather than her being willing to have this conversation, how do we recommit? How do we turn the attention back to our relationship rather than out to these other relationships? She's not going to have any of that. She's just going to vomit this hogwash all over the place. And now she's telling him that if he is upset about her messing around, if he is upset, that just means that he is screwed up and that he needs to get help because he is messed up. That's what I feel has been so difficult here. Not the infidelity. Infidelity happens every day. People do it all the time. They hurt their partners left and right. They do it. They shouldn't do it, but they do. Okay. But it's different when there's a major betrayal, and then the result is the true state-of-the-art gaslighting process that begins to make the victim of the betrayal question themselves. They lose their identity, their confidence bottoms out, and they feel isolated and alone and powerless. And at the point that they feel isolated and alone and powerless, they turn to who? The person that betrayed them and gaslighted them. And so now the betrayer, the sexual betrayer, now has the power to manipulate and brainwash their victim in a way that is not easily achieved at any other time in a relationship. And the fact that he is such a star, she set up this red table talk, right? She wants to be the next Oprah Winfrey. Okay. You ain't no Oprah Winfrey, Jada. She wants to be the next Oprah Winfrey kind of deal. Okay, whether we want to call that, whether we want to say she has a personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, I'm not saying that. I'm not making any diagnoses. I'm having a philosophical discussion of what may or may not be happening. Okay. My question is, when she started her table talk, was it with the intention of destroying her uber successful husband? Is her need for narcissistic supply so strong? Is she so jealous of him and all that he's achieved that consciously or unconscious, I don't care, either one, did she set this up to publicly dismantle him? It ruined so much. It's hard to even list all that got destroyed by this misapplication of just basic sort of interesting philosophical discussion. People have philosophical discussions all the time about things like infidelity, but you don't run out, find a new husband, and move him in under the nose of your existing husband. People don't do it. The professionals talk about it because they come in contact with people all the time that are having some unusual desires. How do we manage that in a healthy way? How do we define health? Number one, where does this person want to be, where they're going to feel like they're being effective in their lives and they can find happiness, be satisfied? And then how do we get them there? That's the process. The problem is that Jada is consumed with Jada, allegedly, it would appear. It doesn't seem like Will or his business team are on board with the red table talk. You see what I'm saying? So this is a very interesting thing that's happening. why would she want to destroy Will? Maybe it's not really about Will, but about someone else. She is an actress, and she's not done very well. And she is very vocal about, her real love is Tupac. That, of course, he's dead. Her real love is Tupac. And Will has lived in the shadow of Tupac for all this time. And as Will has grown more powerful, more well-known, more successful, getting the better video roles, the better movies, as he's getting all of that, her career is going nowhere. I had people send me messages saying, "Who is Jada Pinkett Smith?" They didn't even know who she was, but they knew who Will Smith is. The Smith family was bought by Pfizer. Oh, I don't know what that means, Deborah. Okay, triangulation. Yeah. So, yeah, you remember Tupac and Biggie? Yeah, East Coast versus West Coast. Snoop, Doggy Dogg. Yeah. Jada was their girl. Jada was the shorty that they talk about in the music. You didn't know that, did you? Oh, yeah. Jada and her gang activity goes way back. All right. So, maybe it's about Jada. Oh, no, Jada's not destroying herself. No. Jada wouldn't be anything without. Here's where the confusion lies, common chaos. Jada would not be Jada without Will. We're in agreement with that, right? Will is the icon. Jada's career has gone nowhere. If she's gotten any roles, it's only a favor. They've been kind of bit roles, she just hasn't been able to do much. Earlier, there was some stuff, but she just hasn't been able to grow a career. The fact that she starts this red table talk, and everything. Again, I think that's another avenue of fame. I think she's looking for fame. So you can say, well, is she really trying to destroy Will's career? Or maybe she's trying to destroy herself. Well, my question to you is, isn't she nobody without Will? Right? She's nobody without Will. If he's not in the picture, if he's not Will Smith, then he's not anybody. They haven't talked about it much, but the other night after he got his Oscar, he came and he sat down. He immediately put the Oscar in her hands. And so there were a ton of photographs that were taken. He's sitting there smiling at her, and she's smiling for the camera with the Oscar in her hands. So I think that here, what might be happening, I don't know, because I don't know these people, never spoke to them or anything like that. But what might be happening is that, they're approaching 50, right? So they're at a period, and she, for women more so than for men, she's sort of entering that period of her life now where there's probably not going to be many movie roles for her. She's not the young ingenue, that Hollywood craves. If she gets roles, they're going to be a bit more mature, and she's not going to like that. She's always really been aware of the sexuality of her, appearance. So does she have that pressure on her that she's feeling her age, she's recognizing how this is going, that it's all winding down? They got more money than God. Money is definitely not a driving force, I wouldn't think, in my opinion. I don't think money would be a driving force in this thing. I think that she's recognizing, I'm done. Previously she had the competition, right? She was striving for more and wanting to do more and wanting to do more. Now she looks at Willow, who's gorgeous. She's tall like her dad. She's beautiful. She's looking at her child and her daughter and her son. They're growing into their own fame, all on their own merit. Both of them are very talented. She's recognizing that she's now the grandma, the mom in the room, right? And so for someone that might be dealing with a personality disorder like narcissistic personality disorder, it's terrifying. I want you to consider something. If your worth has always come from your appearance, how people respond to how gorgeous you are and how sexually seductive physically you are, taking photographs of you and whatnot. If that has been the constant stream of narcissistic supply, then as you begin to age, what does the narcissist do? Calm in the chaos. When this beautiful young woman is now aging, like we all do, and begins to realize, oh, you know, it's happening. I'm almost to enter my geriatric years, right? And she's still quite beautiful. There's no doubt about that. They get scared. It becomes very frightening, and the mask gets torn off because the youth is leaving. And for those that don't recognize it, they just kind of look you know, they keep wearing the same makeup they wore when they were young and the same clothes they wore when they're young. And it just doesn't have the same kind of effect, right? Well, if you consider that she's going through this really difficult process of aging, and it is difficult. It's hard to do. We all go through it. Everybody's got to go through it. So she's already dealing with that. But she's married to a guy who is at the very top of his desirability. The whole world wants to be Will Smith, and she's married to him. You may secretly hate him because he gets all the attention and you don't get any. And so you're hurting for your supply, right? Well, if that's the case, if this difficult developmental battle that is happening for any person that's aging and they've typically used their beauty to accomplish things, and it begins to fade, then it can be a real period of crisis. And then if you happen to be married to the most desirable man on the planet, then you got a double-edged sword. And maybe you take away some of that pain by proving to the most desirable man on the planet that, you know, you can have sex with 20-year-olds. So there. Look, 20-year-old wants to have sex with me. He even wrote a song about it. Well, you're wrong, Jada, because if you really pay attention to the words of that song, the song is about your husband. She'd never hear it. She would never believe that. It would be too painful to believe that. So I do think we don't know what's going on. None of us know these people. All we know is what they've acted out in front of cameras, what they've invited us to be a part of, what they have begged us to discuss, right? We don't really know what they're doing, but one possibility could be that she is either consciously or subconsciously trying to level the playing field between her and Will. She may be trying to knock Will Smith down a peg or two. I mean, if what you've always wanted to be is a movie star and you can't make it, you're not getting the roles. And when you do get a role, it's not very good. And you're living with Mr. Hollywood himself, you don't think that would create crisis, calm in the chaos? You don't think that would be, you don't think that would be a really difficult role? Even for someone who's completely healthy, no personality, no kind of mental mood problems, nothing like that. Just the existence of, I'd like to be an actor and I'm not very good at it, but I'm married to Mr. Hollywood himself, And I feel bad about that. Standing next to Will Smith makes me more aware that I'm not a very good actress. You don't think that that could be happening, Common and Chaos? I think Common and Chaos left. Very young, Lit Lolo. Yeah. Jules, would you smack me if I called you out to redo a G.I. Jane movie? You better watch out, Salty. You're getting too salty in here, bub. I may pop a cap in your Maximus glutamus. You better be careful. Okay. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Somebody's going to be talking mean to me. Hey, Sammy Smero. Welcome. Thank you so much, Sammy. I appreciate that. Caddy Wampus, welcome. I completely agree. She's trying to tear him down to build herself up. And maybe not even build herself up, but at least maybe it helps her deal with her own unsuccessful acting career. It helps her manage that if she sees that Will too can fail, right? So it's very complicated what they've done. It is very sick, this game that has happened with him in the middle of it, exposing this crap on social media, playing it out. Whether she told Will to go hit Chris Rock or not, the fact that that man was under that level of distress, pressure, something's going on. And that's what his closest friends said, right? Denzel Washington said that to him. Everybody's saying, hey, Will, maybe we should rethink some things. Like, there's some things happening, Will, that may not be what you think they are. So, go see Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew is not going to play around. You know what I mean? He is going to be very kind, and he's going to be very warm, and he is going to be very factual. And he's going to say, Will Smith, these are the things that have happened to you publicly in the last 5 years. And the common denominator is that your wife has been at the heart of each one. What do you think that means, Will? Insecurities, that's what she has, and she's awful is what she is. And I love Denzel. I love Denzel too. Names on flight logs going to Epstein Island. Oh, Jada went to Epstein Island. Jada has no value structure. She just wants what she wants when she wants it. Sure, J May, I can totally accept that. Yes. And I think there's a lot of people that are like that. Dr. Phil, no. I don't have as much faith in Dr. Phil. Nope. No, Dr. Drew, he knows. Dr. Drew's good. He knows his stuff. I like him because he doesn't buy into all the new age crap. He remembers that human beings have a physical, they have physical motivations, and then they have motivations coming from the higher cortex because we're civilized. And he recognizes that you can't have one without the other. I was very surprised when I was reading about Esther that she says that she's an expert in family systems theory. And I'm going, I don't think so. Not that I don't think she's an expert, but she obviously did not use that information in her book. Because family systems theory absolutely says what one person in a family does, that our families are like solar systems, right? We revolve around the sun. And if one planet gets knocked out of alignment, then all the planets' paths change because they're trying to accommodate the change in gravity. Well, why are you advocating for the mom or the dad or both to go out and screw other people and enjoy affairs, but still try to keep a family intact? Your children hate you. Like, they've been, both Willow and Jaden have done interviews where they have said, I don't talk to my parents. Jaden was 15 years old and wanted to be emancipated legally because his parents were a disaster. Or he's now come out and said it, his mom. He's having trouble with Jada. Well, that would be a very good question, Calm the Chaos. I didn't see one. They haven't made that part of the red table talk if they did do a genogram, but her twin sister mother is sitting at the table with them, which is a little interesting from a psychodynamic perspective. I feel this was staged. It's taking off to beyond what we are going to realize. Well, if it was staged, they didn't let Will in on it. Will is banned from the Oscars for 10 years. Wow. Was that the only thing they did to him, J-May? I know they met. Didn't they meet yesterday? Yes, Sammy. Will snapped. I think that's a great way to describe it. He resigned from the academy like 2 days after the slap, and he apologized, better than the first one that he put out, and now he's in rehab. This idiot, well, I should say that. Okay, this human being with some unusual ideas. Her 20-year-old lover is an R&B star, and he released after Will flipped out and hit Chris Rock. A couple of days later, so he flipped out, hit, and then he resigned from the academy. And then about 5 days after he resigned from the academy, the lover, who is his son's friend, imagine that. It's his son, it's Jaden's friend. He released a song that he wrote about the affair with Jada. And when you read the words are about Will. It is so toxic. It is so damaging and painful. And we're not even a part of it. You know what I mean? It's just been put out there for public discussion. But it's so sad. It's so awful. Oh, I don't think so, Diamond Paw. No, I don't think so. I think it's a R&R for mood disorder breakdown. Well, they did try to arrest him that night, Saul. Look, they should ban Jada. Thank you. My friend has 2 channels. Yeah, you know what? I think Will moved past embarrassed a long time ago. I think he is worn out. I think he is done. I think he is not doing well. But it also, I'll tell you what, it's also a good idea. This kind of highlights, it's really important when you decide to go into therapy, find somebody to talk to. Please be careful about who it is that you're talking to. There are people, they're now calling themselves coaches, right? Oh, I'm a life coach. That's what they call themselves. They're not regulated in any way. They're not required to have any education at all. They get a certificate. It's like a hypnotherapist. You go for a weekend or for a week and get a certificate, okay? Because somebody's taught you some little skill to do. You can't, that doesn't compare to 10 years of full-time classes, research, and experiential training. If you can't get there, it's not even remotely connected. The only thing it has in common between a life coach and a psychologist, you're both sitting in a room talking, and that's about as close as they're going to get. So if, just be careful when you want someone to talk to. Just be careful. And there are some life coaches, I will say this, for certain kinds of problems that people may be having. There are a couple of life coaches that, that's not true. One life coach, but 2 master's level therapists that I refer patients or clients to. But that is for like skills development. That's for things like learning to do different forms of relaxation, teaching progressive muscle relaxation, things like that. If there are some really serious problems that are happening, at least go to a psychiatrist or psychologist a time or two and get, you can ask them to give you a referral to a therapist, to a counselor. That every psychiatrist, every psychologist, we have a referral list so that we can pair people up with therapists that are a good match for their level of distress and the things that are happening. So, but I would just say if it's related to mental health and mood, bypass, I can't say that. Be careful about who you choose. You need someone who is educated and credentialed. You want someone that has credentials, because I'm telling you, you got to jump through some hoops to get that license. If somebody's walking around has a license, they know what they're doing. They're not going to have some harebrained, weird, off the wall idea and you get to be the guinea pig, which is sort of what it feels like has happened with Jada. I think she was enamored of this woman, and this woman is well-spoken and very intelligent, and she read the books, and she was already in crisis in her family, and it just went off the rails. It was a bad application of just a theoretical idea. There was no outcome studies to support these ideas. There's none of those things that keep people safe. If I've got people that come in and work with me, I am going to use empirically validated treatments, and I'm going to document those empirically validated treatments in the medical record, and people are going to know why I'm doing the things I'm doing with therapy. So no quackery. Thank you, Sammy Sparrow. Exactly. Well, listen, Will Smith made the joke himself that more and more he's finding it difficult to be in a room where there hasn't been somebody naked with his wife. Now that is, he kind of said that jokingly, but the look on his face, he just looked like he wanted to just crawl under a rock. It's bad stuff. So yes, run for your life, Will. That's what I say, Bebop. Do it, Will. Declare your freedom. Make the move. Save yourself from all that gaslighting. That's the thing that's so damaging. The infidelity is not even as damaging as the lies and the manipulation that cause people to question their own side, you know, what they see, what they hear. People that get gaslighted, they don't even know what they can trust or believe in anymore. It's damaging. Gaslighting is so damaging. Okay. George Williams ruled his family like Jada ruled hers. He didn't impress me. Is George Williams? Who's George Williams? George Williams. Oh, Richard? Is that Richard Williams? Like the tennis guy? He does look sick, Raphael. I thought that the night of the Oscars, I thought he doesn't look well. And he could be self-medicating. It's possible he did develop a drug problem or an alcohol problem with all this foolishness going on in his house. Remember, a few comedians have committed suicide. He should be careful. Yeah, absolutely. It's true. Yeah, the gaslighting causes you to lose. You question. It's hard to. Your reality testing gets disrupted. I hope the same, Diane. And there's no doubt that he has good friends, and maybe they'll be able to, you know. But this has been so hard to watch. Hopefully this is going to be the last video that I talk about Will Smith. But I thought that this clip was really interesting. So just curious, did y'all find this discussion interesting today? Put a 1 if yes, put a 2 if no. Adding insult to injury, kicking them when they're down. Yeah, absolutely, Arctic. And when there's the discovery of infidelity, then your foundation is already then undermined, right? You're already open to influence because of the dramatic emotional reaction to the infidelity. Then you add, when you're open to influence and you add all these lies and manipulation, and basically it turns into a brainwashing situation. So the gaslighting is what's so unforgivable, in my opinion. You know, the cheating and stuff, people cheat, but for those people that cheat and then they turn around and they tell the most just outrageous lies, and most of them, I can tell you this, most of them that get into all the lying and manipulation and misleading, they end up, after you work with people and they're now doing better about what's real and what's bullshit, then the cheater who's doing the gaslighting, then they just look like a clown. They just look stupid because people know they're lying. They just want to say, you're such a liar. Like, you say things are not even true. You're stupid. Make you second guess yourself. Yeah, absolutely. Feel pushed into a corner, fight, flight, or freeze. That's right. Yeah. So I do think he snapped. I think he's been living under a great deal of stress by evidence of what's been put out by the family, right? They're the ones that have put all this out, or we wouldn't have known all of it. So, yeah, it just, I'll tell you the reason I decided I wanted to do this. Number one, I want to do it because this is about as clear of an example of not brainwash. And I looked down at Bebop's question. This is a clear example of gaslighting in a clinical sense. This is the real deal. The post that I read to you from her Instagram, that's gaslighting. The way in this clip today, where he's actually very healthy and absolutely 100% rational, and he says, hey, please don't start recording me unless you tell me. This is my house. I don't want you to record me. And she turns the camera on herself as if she had narcissistic personality disorder and said, you see, Stir, See what I'm dealing with? See how foolish this foolishness I'm dealing with? Really, Jada? Because what I saw was a person willing to set healthy boundaries. And you interpret that as somehow Will's got something wrong with him? No. People, adults, mature, healthy adults do set healthy boundaries. We should learn to set healthy boundaries. And then the big part is, how do you defend your boundaries so they don't get violated? Right? Okay. All right. So that is ultimately why I decided to do this. I don't typically venture into some of the more clinical psychology stuff. I do work really hard to kind of keep that out. But this is a good example, and we saw the result of what happens when people are gaslighted and public humiliation. And, basically this has been kind of an exercise in what not to do to your partner, right? It's what you don't, how not to, you could write a book, how to have a really unhealthy family. That basically, would just describe it. So again, I'm not diagnosing anyone. I don't know these people. I'm not doing any kind of therapy. I am simply discussing different theories and philosophies and explanations for what might have been happening that would have caused Will Smith to hit Chris Rock in the head. All right. And again, this channel is for entertainment purposes only. There is no therapeutic relationship established at all. How's that? Okay. All right. Well, where are we? Are we on Friday night? We must be, because I didn't work today. So Friday night. Hope everybody's doing super. And we are right at the 2-hour mark, which is what I expected would happen. So yay. All right. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are awesome. And I'm blessed. And I absolutely am grateful to have this platform to come on here and talk to everybody. And I'll be back again before the weekend is over. Okay. All right. I hope it's working, me putting up the announcements, for what time I'll be live and everything. I hope that's working a little bit better. I know that not everybody is getting notifications from YouTube. So I'm sorry for that. I mean, I don't really know of any other way to do it than to just put up the delayed invitation. So thank you, Diane. Okay, everybody, y'all have a wonderful Friday evening, and I will be back before the weekend is through. Talk to you later. Bye.